Hi there. It's Deb Blum here. I am the founder of the Whole Soul Way, and I am really so excited that you're here on this page trying to assess whether the Whole Soul Way is the right thing for you. Here's the thing. Most of the women that come in and do the Whole Soul Way, they have spent most of their lives trying to be who they think they should be and trying to just be a good person, make other people happy, not make other people uncomfortable, to be the kindest person they can be, to be respectful, and to be a good mom, a good wife, a good partner, to do the best they can in their lives. And most of them have gotten to a point where in some way they realize that they have abandoned themselves in a bid to make other people's lives better. That they have smiled and said yes to things that they wish they said no to. They've felt like they need to suppress their own truth to keep the peace. And it all started when we were young. You know, all of us, it starts when we're young. We learn it because it is an incredibly adaptive and resourceful thing to do as a child, to figure out what the adults need and to be more of that. That's really adaptive. People like to make it out to be like this is some pathology that we have, that when we're adults we have to, that we're like people pleasing and accommodating and guarding our hearts and all of that. I just say that's part of being a human being, and it's the way that we stayed safe as a child. And the problem is that the ways that we stay safe, all those adaptations, all those patterns, all those ways that we guarded our heart and defended ourselves and did all those, like all our defense mechanisms and coping strategies, there's a point, and I say if you're lucky, there is a point when you get older where they don't work anymore, where we're like, I cannot do this anymore. And I say it's because you're lucky, because what it is your soul waking you up saying, we're not going to abandon ourselves anymore. We're not going to act like a child anymore. We're going to grow into an emotionally and spiritually whole and mature woman. But it is uncomfortable. It is not something that you can just snap your fingers and do. So it's always funny, right? Like, because most of the people I talk to, they're like, well, I know what I want. If I could, I would. Like, if I could feel more fulfilled, I would feel more fulfilled. If I could have a more emotionally deep relationships, I'd have them. If I could, speak my truth, I'd be doing it. There's something holding me back, right? And so I get that, because I remember countless times just being like, I don't know how to do what I want to do. I wish other people would just do it for me, I remember always wishing my husband could be more emotionally intelligent, but I guess that's not really what we're like, emotionally like deep and capable of sharing his emotional state and drawing my emotions out of me, because I didn't know how to. So I always wished he would be able to do it. I was like annoyed that he couldn't do it. We were like the blind leading the blind. And I will tell you, we've come a long way. But for me, there was so much guarding of my heart that even though I was very empathetic, compassionate, and loving toward other people, internally, like, I was a little bit numb. I was pretty tough on myself. I wasn't always able to access my own feelings. I didn't know how to be as open to sharing my heart. I could share my thoughts about my feelings, but I wasn't as open to sharing my actual emotions and my pain. It felt too vulnerable for me. I didn't trust that other people could hold my pain. And I didn't even always know that that was going on for me. I just didn't even go there. I just smiled and I just went on helping other people, kind of avoiding my own stuff, until it all fell apart for me. And so when when I went through this journey, and with most of my clients, when they come in and they say, if I could, I would. Basically, it's right. I mean, I work with some really smart women. These are not women who don't get it intellectually. They get it intellectually. They just can't live it. They get what they should be doing. They know that they want to be, standing in their power. They want to be speaking their truth. They know they want to be kinder to themselves. They know that they don't want to, act out their anger on their children. They know all of this, but they don't know why they can't interrupt the pattern. And that's what the Whole Soul Way is all about, is showing us how to actually notice these patterns that are in our lives, start to, instead of trying to change our outside circumstances, to know really what to do on the inside. So that no matter what happens in our lives, no matter what the circumstances, we have the inner capacity and an inner process to be able to work through all of those difficult emotions and difficult situations and the body responses and the pain and the fear and the pressure and the triggers and the expectations and the disappointments and the grief and the loss in life, so that we have an inner process to be able to go through, to be able to keep on healing. So my invitation to you is to continue to read on this page. And if this is interesting to you and you think this is something that you feel that you would benefit from in your life, then I think the next best step is to schedule time to talk to me and to tell me about what it is that you want to be doing in your life, and then where you are now. And let's talk about if the Whole Soul Way is going to bridge the gap. What I say to a lot of women is that, so Carl Jung talks about this idea that that until you're 40, everything is just research, and that you don't start living your life until after 40. And I like to say that I help women to transition from that kind of research period of our 40s to like a soulful, emotionally and spiritually mature place where we really do live a life of meaning and purpose and connection and love. And that process, that's what the Whole Soul Way does, is it bridges that gap. It teaches us how to live that way. Another thing that Carl Jung talks about is the idea of first half of life living and second half of life living. And that's one of the things that I focus on pretty early in the program, is to make us realize that there is nothing that you've been doing that's wrong or bad. It's all just part of life. The first half of our life is actually about safety and security. It's about building our support systems. It's about even striving for success. It's even about building in structure in our lives. It's where we build the stability, like the foundation of our lives, of whether it's that you have a home and you have money and you have maybe a family and you've built some of these solid structures. It's like where you build a healthy ego structure. And then your second half of your life is actually built on top of that. And what you're doing is, at that point, you're saying, I no longer need some of those things that I did when I was younger to feel safe. I don't need to be always striving and struggling, and I don't have to always be trying to do better and do more. It's like the time when we shift into, maybe I really am okay just as I am. We start to settle in our worth, right? We settle in our worth. We just sit in it instead of trying to hustle for our worth. We come into the place of feeling like we source our safety from within us, rather than checking and hypervigilantly looking to make sure we're safe outside of us. We start to question the things that we've been told and the belief systems that we hold, and we make sure that we're believing these things because it's really true for us, not because someone else told us. We start to live our lives true to ourselves rather than based on other people's expectations. Right? But there's a gap. There's a thing that we have to do to get from there. We have to, if we've been living our lives more kind of egoically driven, and now we want to shift to living more from our soul and from our like emotional health and well-being, well, there's a gap, and we have to fill the gap. And that's what the Whole Soul Way is doing, is filling that gap so that we can transition to that next place in our lives and we could be living fully. And it's a pretty awesome thing, because you actually learn a system for doing that so that you don't have to be dependent on me forever. You actually learn how to be able to do this for yourself over and over and over again. So you continue to step more and more fully into yourself, living your life more true to yourself, being more brave and bold, and to just showing up, really. Yeah. So if this is interesting to you, please do click the button and schedule some time to meet with me. And I'm excited to get to know you. I'm excited for you to be part of the program. I really believe that this is a magical journey that we go on. And yeah, so yep, we do some deep digging into some of your stuff in your past, but it's funny. I don't really have anybody ever complaining like this is just too hard or too deep or too dark. It's like, it's not like that. It's really it's really like a period of transformation that feels liberating and freeing, because what we do is we really get honest with ourselves. We speak what's true for ourselves. Instead of resisting all the negativity in our lives, we actually start to say, let's just look at it and let's work through it so that we can get to the other side of it, so that we can be liberated from all of that stuff that we had to put aside, and all the ways that we had to pretend we were somebody that we weren't, and all the exhausting ways that we had to just show up for other people, and the ways that we can now live our lives true to ourselves. That's what we want. And you've probably heard it before, but there was a woman who did a study on the 5 regrets of the dying. So people who are on their deathbed, and one of the biggest regrets that people had was that they didn't live their lives true to themselves, that they lived according to other people's expectations. And they're dying now, wishing that they had just liberated themselves from other people's expectations and felt safe enough to be their true selves, to live their lives true to themselves. And I want that for you. I don't want you to wait another day having to be somebody that you're pretending to be, somebody that you're not, and keeping your mouth shut and not speaking your truth. Listen, we need your truth. You were put here for a reason, girl. Like, you were put here for a reason, to be your true self. You play an important part. And you not speaking your truth is not just bad for you, but it's bad for everyone around you. So I cannot wait to learn more about you and to know more about you and to hear more about what's true for you and to help unleash you into the world. All right. Thank you.